Introduction. This is a world dominated by law, where extraterrestrial creatures fall. The laws of every individual and every country dominate the operation of the world, and when these laws collide with each other, they are born, darkness, war, witchcraft, flames, faith, heroes and sins, regime and church, gods and distortion, fairy tales and nightmares. Why can a flint summon the loyalty of 3 giant dogs? How can a flame determine the rise and fall of a country? Why can a mirror distinguish good from evil in a human heart? How can a farmer slaughter a dragon, and how can a destitute wanderer leap to become a king? Iveta traveled to this world, he came, he went, he conquered, and ultimately he wanted to turn his thoughts and insights into a new law that ruled this land. The occupational levels in this book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Night, whose power comes from the life seed and secret medicine system brought by extraterrestrial plants, 1. Night Attendant 2. Ordinary Night, Baron Level, 3. Grand Knight, Viscount Level, 4. Superior Knight, Earl Level, continue to update later wizards, whose power comes from magic, 1. Witch Apprentice, 2. Formal Wizard, Witch, Baron Level, 3. Grand Witch, Viscount Level, continue to update later 111 warriors are weakened knights, and they are much weaker than knight attendants. However, this is just a data condition, and experienced warriors may not necessarily be opponents of novice knight attendants. 111 other professions currently include assassins, druids, and so on. You can use the 5-level system. First 1, for example, apprentice level equals knight level, then there are the male ranks of the duke, marquis, and uncle in the back, and so on. 1, assassins, power comes from faith, involving different non-mainstream ancient deity worship, 1. Apprentice assassin 2. Official assassin, Bong level, continue to update later 1111 1111 priestly, currently, only the Forest Sun faction has a special professional system that gains power through worshipping ancient souls. Legend has it that the prophecy of priests and the divination of witches are 2 completely different systems, and many people do not have the ability to distinguish between them. 1. Apprentice priests 2. Official priest continue to update later 1111 1111 Sagittarius, a career path that remains after the ancient golden Khanate split. Currently only the Centaur Khan has this profession. Continue to update later 1111 1111 Shepherds, the special priestly group of the current Forest Grand Duke Pan Shen, who is a relative guard of Pan Shen and possesses incredible power, once brought many problems to humanity over 2,000 years ago. Ambrose, situation in nearby countries, February 6, 2023. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A brief summary of the situation in the independent state of Viscount Ambrose. A serfdom was established, but it belonged to the weakest serfdom country, and the rulers could only call themselves Grand Viscount to avoid intervening in the struggles of the people divided into 2 factions. Special Law 1. Holy Mountain Desert Special Law 2. Thousand-Year Fire Suppressed Potential Law. The Sea of Great Sequoia Trees Suspected Laws. They can suppress high-level professionals and even cause them to encounter various misfortunes, including madness and sudden death. Previously only mentioned once, not emphasized too much later, the specific situation will be revealed later. The resource of the Seed of Life is currently known. Flame Flow Berry. Is there a professional base? There is. Waiting for further disclosure. 11,111 111 The northern part of Ambrose is the Confederation of Autonomous States, while the southern part is the most densely populated region of the Republic. 1111 The distribution of republics on the southern peninsula is generally divided into 4 categories. First kind regulatory commercial republic, mainstream, example. Republic of Florence Barisali Republic Aristocratic Commercial Republic The puppet state of the Aristocratic Commercial Republic. The Republic of Brescia, along with various trade protection small countries of this republic, as well as other countries on the peninsula that were not labeled due to their small size and mediocrity. Category 2, a republic that combines the Senate and consulate system with the aristocratic legacy of ancient civilizations. Example: Senate Republic. Third category, a republic formed through cooperation with the Church. Example: Autonomous City. State of Ravenna. Church united with citizens. Abbreviation: the Church and citizens of Ravenna. And there is also a vassal state of the Duchy of Vallado, the autonomous prefecture of the Protestant Church in Geneva. There is evidence to suggest that the Duchy of Vallado was also an oligarchic republic before being usurped by the tyrant. Category 4, republic under special circumstances. For example, oligarchic politics. Oligopolistic politics is the practice of a few powerful individuals within a country, using legal means to select rulers from certain minority groups. The following examples of countries have different situations, subsidiary laws, and characteristics. Example: Republic of Siena. Epirus Republic. Readers, please follow up and read more of my latest chapters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This week is the key to determining the author's grades. Don't keep books, you can click on my latest chapter. If the grades are good, there is a high probability that the author will update 8,000 to 10,000 words per day after being listed. Wishing every reader a successful career and academic success in the new year. Chapter 1. Heat, Sweat, Disease, and the Old Witch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Black Forest, in a small wooden house in Truffle Town. The old witch swept over the young man on the bed, and in front of her was a boy with a fever all over his body, abnormal sweat on his face and chest, and his face even redder than an apple. A demon hunter in the room, carrying a large sword with both hands, said, "Can he still be saved? This guy is the target of my mission to protect. If he dies, where should I collect my commission? Sigh. This is my most unprofitable deal. I thought I could receive a bonus by sending him to the kingdom, but who knew there was a rebellion in the kingdom and he also fell seriously ill." The old witch lowered her head and carefully examined the young man on the hospital bed, then suddenly sneered. "This is a fever. As far as I know, it was created by one of my colleagues. Ordinary people thought it was a naturally occurring plague, but they didn't know it was a malicious spell." The demon hunter began to mock. "More than half of the plagues on this land were created by your witches." The old witch bluntly said, "I can save him. But I want the estate where you are located." The demon hunter has no objection to this, as this estate is the property of this young man and has nothing to do with him. "I agree. When he wakes up, you can find him to sign the law yourself. Let him adopt the estate to you. However, witnessing the adoption of the estate contract requires the recognition of the church priest. Are you sure you can pass that level?" The old witch nodded. "I have a solution. The people in the church are the most corrupt. As long as you give them money, they can let demons do business in the church. I'm just a witch, what's the point of that? Okay, I'll save this child now. It's the last good thing I've done in my life. It's ridiculous that we witches will one day save people. This is simply an insult to my entire career. Of course, this is farting. Because in fact, the person who secretly cast malicious spells on the young man in the hospital bed is this old witch." The old witch saw a lonely and destitute prince and set her sights on their last possession. This estate. She secretly used tricks to seize this estate. The old witch disdainfully scanned the boy on the bed. This person died early, and their heart has stopped beating. Even a witch cannot resurrect a deceased person. But it's okay, she can use psychic spells to summon a low-level undead into this body, manipulate the undead, and make the body move. Anyway, as long as in the eyes of the demon hunters, this corpse can be moved. After the demon hunter leaves, she can do whatever she wants. Witches never keep promises. Why abide by the agreement when something can be obtained through deception? The old witch reached out her hand towards the window, and her wrist twirled. Suddenly, a chicken from the chicken coop outside the window was summoned by her, breaking the window glass and falling into her hands. Gotcha, the chicken neck was broken by her twisting with one hand, and chicken blood spurted out. The old witch lowered her head and sniffed the chicken blood. Well, it's an old hen who hasn't been pregnant yet. Her fingers were stained with some chicken blood, and then the demon hunter, the black wolf, pulled open Ivetta's collar, revealing the boy's chest. She used her fingers stained with chicken blood to draw a reverse hexagram pattern on Ivetta's chest, and then drew an eye in the middle of the reverse hexagram pattern. This eye is the eye of the ancestor witch. The reverse hexagram is a fallen magic formation. So the combined language of the Dharma is voluntarily relinquishing all divine protection for humans and inviting all things to enter this body. Cough cough. All right. The old witch sneered. She only needed to recite another ordinary summoning spell to summon a low-level undead into this corpse, causing the deceitful demon hunter beside her to mistakenly think that the little prince had already been resurrected. Hee hee. Just this IQ is still a demon hunter. The old witch quickly withdrew her fingers and was about to recite a teleportation spell when, to her surprise, Ivetta, who was supposed to be a corpse, suddenly opened her eyes. Ivetta covered her head and got up from the bed. My head hurts so much. Where is? Here. Is this filming a movie? Where's my phone? The old witch's withered smile stiffened on her face, looking incredulously at the young man who suddenly got up from bed and came back to life from the dead. She was completely bewildered. The demon hunter, the black wolf, looked at the witch and was amazed. I didn't expect that witches could indeed cure illnesses and save lives. It's the first time I've seen a good witch like you. The old witch was so disgusted by the word good that she almost vomited it out. She never does good things. Doing good deeds will tarnish her reputation and make her ridiculed by her peers. But the key to the problem is not here yet. The old witch looked at the dead chicken in her hand incredulously, at the blood-stained fingers, and for a moment she felt a bit dazed. Did she just recite a spell? No, right. Why does the corpse on the hospital bed move? Did she actually recite a curse just now, but she forgot? Not right. She didn't even recite a curse just now. A terrible conjecture appeared in the old witch's mind, and a cold sweat fell from her forehead. The fallen formation and witches I just now can actually summon other beings to enter this corpse, but the chance is too low. Generally, specific spells are needed to summon the designated undead. But any magic carries risks. Can it be said that her magical trajectory caught the attention of some beings in the subspace, following her magical trajectory into this corpse? At the thought of this, the old witch had an impulse to pack up and run away. What manner? She doesn't even want it. And on the hospital bed. Ivetta was in a daze. He should have been seriously ill by now, and he was on the verge of death. He had a fever of 40 degrees and couldn't even get out of bed. But why do I wake up in a strange environment with a strong man and an old man in front of me? At the same time, the memory of the original owner kept rushing over. Ivetta has accepted the memory of the original owner and can somewhat understand the current situation. This world is somewhat similar to the Middle Ages, but more similar to the world in Grimm's fairy tales, with strange races such as witches, werewolves, vampires, giants, goblins, and elves. People and monsters coexist. And the identity of the original owner was originally the only prince of a kingdom and also the only heir. However, he was driven out of the kingdom by the rebellious army. His throne was deemed invalid by the mob, and the original owner himself was also expelled from his hometown. It is said that the uprising was instigated by certain powerful officials, and now the mob is still openly selling the vacant throne. Whoever offers the highest price can obtain the throne. According to the original owner's memory, the throne was finally bought by a big capitalist who opened a cotton factory. During this process, all the guards around him fled one by one, and the loyal old servants who followed him also died of illness. The original owner finally ran to this estate far away from the kingdom. This estate comes from his mother and is not the property of the kingdom, so he was able to preserve this last piece of property and survive here. But it seems that this last possession has caught his attention. Iveta clenched his fist, feeling the unwillingness of the original owner before his death. Before his death, the original owner's soul was howling and screaming, lamenting that the capital had used money to buy the throne that should have belonged to him. Perhaps it was this unwillingness that brought Iveta into this body. Iveta is a very responsible person. Since he took someone else's body, he must take on the responsibility of the original owner. He whispered in his heart, "Since I have come into your body, you will be me from today on. I will help you regain the throne that originally belonged to us." As soon as he thought of this, his body suddenly relaxed, like a cloud of white clouds, becoming very light. He devoured the last trace of obsession in this body, completely controlling it, allowing the soul to perfectly fit with the body. Iveta scanned the demon hunters and witches in the room, lost in thought. I will eventually regain my own country. However, if we want to do this, we cannot rely solely on ourselves. We must have an army and territory. I need to organize a force to reclaim my kingdom. The demon hunters and witches in front of me seem to be talented. Find a way for them to stay, and preferably make them swear allegiance to themselves, rather than obeying themselves because of money. It's so hot, little master. You have a fever. The demon hunter touched Iveta's forehead and said, Your Highness, could you please give me the commission you owe me before you die? Your behavior really worries me. I will have no harvest. The old witch, who was originally standing on the side, wanted to secretly cast a spell and test Iveta's expression. She immediately stopped the spell. Because she discovered something very terrifying. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. That is, a dead person cannot have temperature. The original Iveta must have died of a fever, and she knew this better than anyone else. After all, it was the spell she cast on the original Iveta. Iveta knows better than anyone that she will never die. However, it is impossible for a dead person to have temperature. Ordinary undead and evil beings, even if occupying a corpse, cannot bring warmth to the corpse. Besides, having a fever is a very difficult and complex thing. To what extent does it take for the corpse to achieve fever function? The old witch kept searching her mind, trying to find a way out of the magic she had mastered. The conclusion is, it's a fantasy. That's a big problem. What level does an evil spirit need to reach to enter a corpse and resurrect it? The old witch stared at Iveta in horror, her muscles stiff all over, standing in place like a wooden figure. The other party is not an evil deity coming from the subspace, is it? Or is it the old extraterrestrial god who was attracted by magic and came from the outer universe? Anyway, this is not the first time that magic has caused a terrifying accident. Any magic must pay an equal price and bear a considerable risk. Bang! The sound of kicking the door suddenly came from outside. A rough voice sounded outside the door. Evil Hearthstone Witch, my righteous mountain pig Grand Knight has discovered you and will punish you. Under God's will, suffer death for you. You can't escape the owner of this manor who is sheltering the witch. Chapter 2. The Evil Law and the Knights of the Mountain Pig. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Iveta, the Black Wolf, and the old witch were bewildered, the door of the room was smashed open by a warhorse dressed in a steel plate vest. A knight, covered in several layers of iron plate armor, was riding on the back of the warhorse, with his left hand wielding a secondary weapon and a right hand wielding a main weapon, a knight's spear, angrily looking at the three people inside the room. Hearthstone Witch, you have to pay the price for the people you killed. I've been looking for you for 20 years, and today is your deadline. You and your comrades will both perish today. The demon hunter, Black Wolf, drew his sword from his waist and said, he is a knight from the church. This person should be a nearby lord. He may be a lord of the kingdom of Montenegro. Iveta is the prince of the kingdom of Alsace, while the kingdom of Montenegro is famous for its mountainous interior. However, the kingdom of Montenegro is different from the kingdom of Alsace. It is said that the true ruler of this kingdom is the Archbishop of Montenegro, who is the most powerful branch head of the church. The demon hunter used a large sword to block the deputy weapon that the great cavalier of the mountain pig had chopped over. My Highness and I have nothing to do with this witch. If you want to kill her, kill her. The mountain pig Grand Knight laughed heartily. Evil spirits gather and chop together to show my achievements. Because of you, I can further become a stronger holy knight. Thank you all. Ivetta's heart sank. I thought you were some kind of righteous knight, but I didn't expect you to want to chop us down together and treat our bodies as if they were a witch accomplice, in order to increase your credit. Black. Are people in the church so corrupt? The great knight of the mountain pig fought against the demon hunter more than 10 times, and in the end, the great knight of the mountain pig kicked the black wolf on the chest of the demon hunter and knocked him over the cabinet in the room. On the other hand, the old witch took the opportunity to recite spells and threw a bottle of peas she carried on the ground. The peas on the ground sprouted small tender buds, which then grew wildly and turned into vines the size of an adult wrist. These vines whipped towards the mountain pig Grand Knight like whips. These vines hit the chest of the great knight of the mountain pig, and the thick plate armor sank directly in, and the great knight of the mountain pig also fell off the horse's back. The old witch chuckled sharply and said, "These vines can shatter rocks with every blow. Fortunately, you are a grand knight. If it were an ordinary person, you would have become a meat sauce." Iveta looked at the mountain-born knight who was cutting off a vine, and surprisingly, he used his secondary weapon to fix the vine to the wall. It seems that whether it's witches, these knights, or demon hunters, they are actually not ordinary people. The battles of these people are extremely dangerous for ordinary people, even if they only participate. For example, oneself. The great knight of the mountain pig looked coldly at the old witch and blew a whistle, only to find the sound of horse hooves everywhere outside the estate. The old witch screamed. Not good, he actually called a knightly order over. I'm not a match. Each member of these knights has taken the seed of life, experienced organ sublimation, and possesses extraordinary hearts. I'm running for my life. The old witch turned around and ran into the glass window, jumping straight down from the second floor and running for her life. In the severely damaged room, only Iveta, the demon hunter Black Wolf, and the mountain boar Grand Knight remain. The mountain pig Grand Knight looked at Iveta and the demon hunter Black Wolf with a gaze towards the dead. Two of you, for my promotion, please be beheaded by me in the witness of God. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you, big-headed ghost. Iveta rolled her eyes. The devil wants to be your stepping stone for this black-hearted knight. Black Wolf, take me with you to escape. Iveta said to the demon hunter he had hired. The Black Wolf rushed over, hugged him and smashed the window together, jumping down from the second floor. The gloomy words of the mountain pig Grand Knight echoed behind them. Just a useless aristocrat, a dirty demon hunter, where can you two escape? Below are all my people. You can't escape. The demon hunter, the Black Wolf, held Iveta and landed steadily on the ground. He scanned around and found that the manor was filled with armored knights riding warhorses. These knights, wearing bucket helmets and with only a bunch of bloodthirsty and greedy eyes exposed, were burning and killing the manor like evil spirits. The silver-plated cups and gold-plated plates inside the manor were collected by these knights with an unchanged expression. The wooden fence and house walls inside the estate were all destroyed by these extraordinary knights. Iveta was speechless to the extreme, starting with such a mansion. Unexpectedly, shortly after waking up, it was destroyed by these knights. Your Highness, what should we do now? Said the Black Wolf demon hunter, feeling somewhat bewildered. Where are we running? Iveta keenly noticed that the old witch had snatched a cart from the estate and was about to rush out of it. Black Wolf, let's go to the old witch's cart. He shouted at the old witch, that ox cart is my property. Hey, stop it for me. I was just trying it out, but to my surprise, the old witch trembled with fear when she heard her words, and then drove her cart back. The demon hunter, the black wolf, strangely led Iveta onto the ox cart. The black wolf is strange. How could these witches, known for their lack of credibility, risk their lives to come back and save them? Besides, this witch is not a vassal loyal to Iveta, nor is she a hired person. She didn't need to come back specifically. Is it really because I'm too embarrassed to steal a cart? The old witch let out a sharp and piercing scream and said, "Crown, I have absolutely no intention of infringing on your property. I owe you a cart, and I will definitely pay you the compensation that should be paid to you. Under the witness of the gods of hell and the demons of the abyss, I pledge to repay you." At this moment, Iveta and the demon hunter Black Wolf both noticed something was wrong from the abnormal attitude of the old witch. The old witch seemed to regard Iveta as some kind of existence, but she was very afraid of him. So much so that when Iveta said that this cart was his property and you couldn't take it away, the old witch actually took this joke seriously. Anyway, at this moment, Iveta seemed to pose a greater threat to the old witch than the Knights of the Mountain Pig. Otherwise, there is no need for the old witch to take risks and return to bring them onto the ox cart before running away. Because the ox cart turned around and came back, it was chased by the Knights of the Mountain Pig Knights. At high speed, the ox cart was gradually sandwiched between 5 warhorses. 5 knights raised 5 cold night guns, ready to dismantle the ox cart. Iveta was a bit worried, but at that moment the witch suddenly stood up and raised her right hand. The emerald green ring on her right hand emitted a cold and eerie cold light. In the titles of Hearthstone Witch and Hearthstone City Guardian, I command you. The flesh and blood on the old witch's right hand withered at a very fast pace, but this one sentence made her upper arm look old for at least 20 years. I command you, you cannot chase any ox cart or carriage I drive, you cannot see me and the people around me, you cannot touch me and the people around me, you cannot track me and the people around me. The evil law is protected by the Dark Queen. When she finished speaking these words, her entire right arm actually aged and decayed to dryness, and then broke open. However, the emerald green ring on her right hand suddenly emitted a green flame, causing the surrounding air to brush cold and the light to dim, as if it were a cloudy and rainy day. A woman's mournful scream came out from inside the emerald ring. The law is established. The ring landed on the wooden floor of the cart. Suddenly, a woman's hand, even with black skin, appeared next to the ring out of thin air. She grabbed the ring into her palm, then withdrew it and disappeared into the cart. The knights, who had been relentlessly chasing after them, had no focal length in their pupils at this moment, as if they couldn't see them. They unexpectedly stopped the warhorses under their crotch and searched around in confusion. The old witch turned around and drove the ox cart with her only remaining left hand, muttering, "I'm at a loss, I'm at a loss. I came out completely at a loss this time, didn't get anything, and even lost 20 years of life and my right hand. I also lost the ring given to me by the Queen of Stars, which enhanced my mana for at least 10 years. And I also got into a huge trouble." She secretly glanced at Iveta. "You are the big trouble." Iveta waved at her unnoticed. The mysterious magic just now really opened his eyes. Iveta even had the idea of learning magic from the old witch. Iveta asked the old witch, "So, under your magic, those knights will never catch up again?" Without waiting for the old witch to speak, the Black Wolf demon hunter immediately retorted, "The opponent is a grand knight who is higher than an ordinary knight, the leader of the Mountain Pig Knights. I have heard of this person who always seeks revenge. The type of life he took should be the type of life in the Black Mountain Grand Dukes, de Hua Luli. I heard that knights who take this type of life will have stronger strength and their temper will be affected, making them more violent. The path that the great knight of the Mountain Pig took as a knight should be the family tradition of the Mountain Pig Knight, and the knight's secret medicine he took should be the Mountain Pig Secret Medicine series. He is a grand knight with at least 6 extraordinary organs. Don't think we were able to escape from him just now, it's just our luck. He will eventually catch up with us. The old witch drove a cart and laughed wickedly. I didn't expect that your kind of witchcraft modified race could still have such insight. No mistake. The magic I just cast is at best just a powerful illusion. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net can't keep them trapped for too long, otherwise I wouldn't have to keep running. The mountain pig Grand Knight has a pig nose with a life element structure, and he can smell anyone he wants to track. He will catch up with us sooner or later, and he has already seen you. He has remembered your scent. The old witch was calculating in her heart the possibility of using the subspace demon god to defeat the mountain pig knights. She kept glancing at Iveta. Iveta suddenly said to the old witch, I want to learn magic. Can you teach me? The black wolf instinctively stopped and said, Your Highness, all magic comes at a cost. Take a look at the miserable situation of this old witch now. It's not a good idea for you to learn magic. Besides, learning magic requires a lot of money. When will you be able to pay off the money you owe me? The old witch wants to refuse. This. Iveta spoke with righteousness and said, You previously said you would give me equal compensation for stealing my cart. Now is the time for you to cash it out. The old witch suddenly remembered that she had just made an effective oath. Excuse me, what exactly is this demon god going to do? The old witch was frightened by dim sum. She always felt that it was dangerous for her life to teach the devil. But due to her previous promise, she had to say, Dear Crown, I agree to teach you magic. But remember that I am a subordinate of the Dark Queen, can you understand? This means emphasizing that one is someone with a superior. Iveta looked at the demon hunter, what did she mean by that? The demon hunter Black Wolf shrugged his shoulders, indicating that he didn't know either. Chapter 3. The Origin of Magic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old witch cast a spell on the ox pulling the cart, allowing it to run thousands of miles at night. At first, Iveta was a bit worried that the knights of the mountain pig knights would catch up. But as they ran further and further, he began to wonder where they were now. When they stopped, they had already left the main road and entered the crooked depths of the forest path, even the ox cart disintegrated due to running too far. Black Wolf and Iveta got off the ox cart. Iveta strangely scanned the surrounding black forest. Where have we been? Why are black forests everywhere on this land? It's because the black forest environment is particularly suitable for witches, magic, and magical creatures to survive. The demon hunter, the Black Wolf, unpacked his package from his back and checked his weapons and equipment. Unfortunately, most of the weapons and equipment were lost during the escape just now, and the cost of the lost weapons undoubtedly fell on Iveta's head. He explained to Iveta, this black forest stretches across the earth, passing through dozens of duchies, kingdoms, and empires, with countless wizard towers, witch academies, and griffin knight training camps hidden within it. It is said that using magic in the Black Forest will be slightly enhanced. We should have arrived at the southernmost point of the Black Forest. Your Highness, look at the mountain ahead. Iveta looked up towards the direction pointed by the Black Wolf demon hunter and saw a faint mountain range rising into the sky ahead. The demon hunter Black Wolf said, That's the Alps, a legendary holy mountain. This place should be the Viscount of Ambrose, a very special and independent viscount. This is very close to the location of the Papal States. That's right, are you really okay? He looked at the old witch and said. Is it really good for you, a witch, to be so close to the headquarters of the Vatican? The old witch gave a sharp grin. No problem, I can even go to the church to buy a redemption voucher. I came here because Viscount Ambrose has a beloved disciple of mine. I heard that she has recently done a very big thing here, a very big thing, but it has also caused a lot of trouble. For this, she even wrote me a letter asking me to help her. So didn't I come here? The old witch's words cannot be fully believed. In fact, she had no intention of paying attention to her disciple who sought her help. Otherwise, she wouldn't have had the time to use trickery to seize Iveta's estate. But who called her? She is now deeply troubled by the demon gods in the subspace. At this moment, she remembered her beloved disciple again. Blessed, one should be beautiful alone, and in times of difficulty, one should naturally be together. This is her life motto. Just as Iveta was looking around, unsure of where to go next, the old witch welcomed her. Crown Prince, you have previously requested me to learn magic, and of course, I can only follow your will. Now that we are temporarily out of danger, let's find a quieter place where I can teach you magic. Let me first check your body's magical talent. The old witch cautiously lifted Iveta's right arm, touched it, and then turned to Iveta's back, placing her finger on his shoulder blade. She showed a puzzled expression and murmured to herself. You're still suffering from a high fever. But that's not right. How could a body occupied by the outer gods in the subspace not have magical talent? But you really don't have any magical talent. According to the history I know, those who caused great disasters and were summoned by magic in the past, once parasitized on ordinary people, those ordinary people would become natural spellcasters. If I kill this body with a plague and the demon enters. The old witch's eyes showed suspicion and cruelty. Iveta heard her murmur next to her, and her hair stood on end. I'll go, I thought the mountain pig night was already bad enough. I didn't expect it to be you. The original owner was actually killed by you. You're playing werewolf here. Fuck. Iveta didn't expect that she had just left the mountain pig nights with her front foot, and then fell into danger with this witch with her back foot. What kind of subspace, what kind of demon god, he really has no idea at all. This old witch is a suspicious, timid, and vicious person. Generally, this kind of person does not have full confidence and can never do anything. Iveta thought to herself, as long as I don't show any fear, she will never dare to take action against me. Iveta snorted coldly. Without magical talent, can't one learn magic? The old witch was startled by this hum and became very frightened. She realized that Iveta's resurrection from the dead must be true, and the historical knowledge she knew may not necessarily be without errors. However, this also prompted her to continue probing Iveta's thoughts. The old witch shook her head and said, indeed, it's not without the opportunity to learn magic. It is said that those in the lower world may indeed be unable to learn magic due to their lack of wizarding talent, but this is the dark forest of magic, where anything can happen. People who are not born spellcasters and want to learn magic need to use expensive materials to create rituals to enlighten their magical talents. Iveta was curious about the people in the lower world she spoke of. A lower world. Said the old witch, when I used to use summoning magic, I often encountered some lower-level creatures from the lower world. The most interesting thing is that once I summoned a 9-ring wizard who claimed to come from the wizarding world. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, he put down his arrogant words and said he would immediately summon all the rulers of our world to offer him experimental materials. The result was that he grinned at a servant of mine. A farmer, and in the end, he was punched and thrown upside down by that farmer, only to be killed directly. From that time on, I realized that the intensity of our world is much higher than that of other worlds, and even if an ordinary person in our world goes by, it may cause a huge change in that world, even the end. The old witch said, for a while, I was very interested in summoning some creatures from other worlds to be my experimental materials. I just found out that they seem to refer to our world as the birthplace of magical power. But it's not a big deal. In our world, ordinary people are just ordinary people, and I can't understand why some wizards in the world can show their power over the recognized French King Yaowu by the gods and people. Declare rule. Perhaps the lower-level creatures are like this. The old witch seemed to be lost in memories, but our world itself is like a book, each plane is a page of our world. As far as I know, the subspace and outer universe of our world are the most terrifying pages of books. After speaking, she secretly glanced at Iveta, as if saying, "You should understand this better than me." The Black Wolf demon hunter couldn't help but ask, "Old witch, how many years have you lived with so many experiences?" The old witch looked at the Black Wolf with displeasure, but she was afraid of Iveta and dared not act recklessly, so she had to hold back a few words. "I'm already over 200 years old. The experience I just mentioned was when I was over 100 years old and worked as a witch at Hearthstone Castle." Chapter 4. Explorer and Shaojiu Post House. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this point, it was already dark and I don't know what time it was. Due to the lack of a watch and clock, Iveta is completely unsure of what time it is at night. However, most people in this era cannot accurately distinguish time, and can only rely on the sun to determine whether it is morning, afternoon, evening, and evening. Iveta glanced at the old witch and realized that this guy was indeed very old, but she never expected anyone to live so old. "I'm already over 200 years old, yet I can still be lively and ambitious. At present, he is even more eager to learn magic." 3 people were walking through the forest, and they found a 4-story wooden house with lights on in the dense forest. There was a sign hanging crookedly on the top of the wooden house. Shaojiu Station. The Black Wolf demon hunter habitually drew his big sword when he saw the light, but when he saw it was an inn, he showed a relaxed expression. Finally I can take a break." The old witch's eyes also shone brightly. "Under the crown, we can have the ceremony there. It's relatively safe there. After all, she has been wanting to confirm Iveta's identity. Witches are both suspicious and cruel." Iveta asked strangely, why would someone open a tavern in a dense forest instead of on either side of the main road? "In this way, won't we avoid most of the guests?" The Black Wolf demon hunter used his sword back to split open the thorny bushes blocking the way. "Your Highness, you speak so cutely, it's as if you've never been out before, completely unaware of the world." The old witch beside her stiffened for a moment, and she looked at Iveta with fear. The Black Wolf said, "That's because the owner of this kind of tavern wants to avoid most ordinary people. This type of tavern is designed to serve adventurers. The amount of land in the kingdom is limited, and there is only so much land that can be divided. Therefore, many sons of nobles and capitalists, in search of opportunities, become adventurers and go to various regions to become mercenaries and robbers for others. Over time, a complete set of facilities will appear to provide services for these adventurers. This type of tavern or post office, located deep in the forest and far from normal roads, is one of them." Iveta nodded in confusion. According to the original owner's memory, the mobs and guards who usurped his kingdom seem to have hired many adventurers. These adventurers are like bandits rampaging through this black forest, and wherever they pass, they will never leave behind prosperous towns. In fact, many towns maintain a professional patrol team to guard against these wandering adventurers. I remember in my original world of the Middle Ages, there were many examples of adventurers fleeing around to seize territories, even kingdoms. The most famous ones are probably the Normans from the Duchy of Normandy and the 7 Kingdoms of England, as well as the King of Sicily and the Audeville family from the Duchy of Antioch. So the adventurers of this world are probably also such a dangerous group. The 3 of them knocked on the door of the inn, and suddenly an old man with a hunched back and a black hood covering his face opened the door. He glanced at the person and said, "How many rooms do you need? Do you need food? Give me a plate of wind-stewed beef, I'll add more rosemary and thyme, and a slice of lemon and wine to season," said the demon hunter. The Black Wolf, familiar with the situation, also, "Give me a glass of the cheapest wine. Give us 3 rooms to stay for 1 night." The hunchbacked old man saw that the old witch and Iveta had no intention of anything and said, 3 beds, 6 pence, 3 separate rooms for 3 pence, and 3 cabinets for 3 pence. Hot water for bathing and drinking costs 3 pence. Feed the cows grass for 2 pence. There are still some dishes left, totaling 4 pence. The total is 21 pence. The hunchbacked old man paused and said, of course, you can also choose to pay 1 shilling and 9 pence. The demon hunter, the black wolf, said silently, "Why do we rent 3 rooms and have to pay separately for the bed, cabinet, and hot water in each room?" The hunchbacked old man's tone remained unchanged, as if he were a robot, and he said, "This is the rule of our small shop. You can also choose not to buy and sleep outside on a cold and piercing night." The demon hunter, the black wolf, rolled his white eyes. "The cost of maintaining my armor each time is also around this price. Your store's prices are indeed too expensive." The hunchbacked old man looked as if he wouldn't let in any oil or salt, and there were still guests inside the inn cheering. Iveta said to the hunchbacked old man, "Sir, since that's the case, we don't need beds and cabinets in the room we booked. Can you please find someone to move the bed and cabinet out of our room? We don't need bed and cabinet services, nor do we need hot water." The hunchbacked old man was stunned for a moment. The noisy guests in the tavern remained silent because they had never imagined that someone could be so shameless in being stingy. The hunchbacked old man frowned. "Can this be done?" Iveta nodded very naturally and said, "Well, first of all 3 of us hate hot water, beds, and cabinets. Providing us with such services would be detrimental to our interests." The hunchbacked old man seemed to be considering it, but someone said later, "Okay, I agree. Camel, go help the guests lead the cows to the stable and put some ordinary quality feed on it. You come in, guests. In that case, you only need to pay 9 pence. The speaker should be the owner of the inn, with a scar running through half of his face and a fierce expression. He stood behind the wooden bar, poured 3 glasses of wine, and then asked a human beauty wearing a bikini and rabbit ears to bring the drink over. "This is a gift I gave to the 3 of you for free. Please have a wonderful evening at our store. Dussel, take 3 guests to the guest room." The black wolf took the wine and drank it all in one gulp, not for nothing. He took out money from his pocket, handed it to the beautiful maid, and then said to Iveta, "Your Highness, this account needs to be credited to your head. I will advance the payment for you first. Also, you need to pay me for the account of the weapons I lost in your previous battle to protect you. But congratulations, you just saved yourself 12 pence. Iveta blushed for a moment. "Forget it, I owe you money. There is a saying that goes, as long as you owe enough money, you are the other person's god. If he dies, the black wolf will never get his own money." When passing by the wooden bar, Iveta even said thank you to the owner behind the bar, and the owner also bowed back. The adventurers inside the inn looked at the boss in surprise. After Iveta and the others went up, these guests raised their glasses and asked the owner of the inn, "Blackheart Raleigh, this is not your way of doing things. You never allowed such behavior before. There's no beauty among them, what's wrong with you? You're drunk. Does the unscrupulous Raleigh want to change his nickname? To replace it with a foolish Raleigh? Ha ha ha." Raleigh gave them a nonchalant glance. "Go drink your drink, I don't have any vision at all. The 3 people who just entered here, let's not talk about the young child for now. The 2 people around him have a lot of connections. The black-haired demon hunter is the famous demon hunter Black Wolf. It is said that he once killed all his companions in one go at Regensburg due to uneven distribution of profits with his accomplices. That old woman, based on my observation, should be the great witch of Hearthstone Castle. I have no fate, go provoke these people." The drinkers were all stunned. Some people even dropped their wine glasses on the ground without realizing it. This person murmured to himself, with a fearful expression on his face. The Witch of Hearthstone Castle, UU reading www.uukangshu.net, has a bad reputation. I don't know how many people died at her hands. We were actually so close to her just now. A strong man beside him snorted and looked at him. "You're so timid, why are you an adventurer? But I didn't expect us to be so close to these 2 big shots." At this moment, the old witch, who had frightened a bunch of adventurers on the first floor, was spreading out a map and placing it in front of Iveta. Under the crown, we can start the ceremony now. But this ceremony cannot be performed in a real environment, so we still need some steps. And the ceremony is very long, no one can disturb it yet. Iveta said, we can have black wolves protect us. To prevent accidents. I'm a bit uneasy about your demon hunter guard, I think his abilities are a bit lacking. The old witch thought about how the original Iveta died in her hands. She can't believe the black wolf anymore. In her eyes, this demon hunter has a dark history. The old witch said, Crown, so I'm here to ensure your safety. Iveta frowned. But aren't you still holding a ceremony for me? In that case, how can you do two things at the same time alone? The old witch raised her only remaining left hand and placed it on her chin. Then she forcefully pulled her left hand, only to hear a click sound, and her head unexpectedly separated from her body. She hugged her head with her left arm and stood up, saying, under the crown, all I need to do for the ceremony is my head. My body can be guarded around. This is also to prevent the mountain pig knights from catching up with us. Chapter 5. Carriage and Treasure Vault. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old witch looked at Iveta with deep meaning. If it were me, there wouldn't be a need for a black wolf, Crown Prince. You can let him go to sleep. No. Iveta felt her scalp tingle, and the witch actually had ulterior motives towards her. I dare not let the black wolf sleep. As long as this witch discovers that she is not a demon god, she will definitely take action against her. Just looking down at the group of adventurers on the first floor, I already know the witch's usual way of doing things. Don't be fooled by this guy's harmless appearance in front of him, and he can still be a tour guide and introduce himself, but if he's not a demon god, he's probably going to become the boss in a horror movie the next moment. Iveta said, I think it would be even more foolproof for your body to guard this room with the black wolf. What I need is foolproof, can you understand? He will try his best to show the style of a demon god. Do you know what consequences you will have if you fail? The old witch was so frightened that her shoulders trembled, and the expression on her head was also very ugly. If the ritual of awakening magic fails, what will you do to me under the crown? Good question. I also want to know myself. Even if the awakening magic fails, I may not be able to do anything to you. Iveta sat quietly on the ground, his hands rubbing against his knees slightly. He was a bit scared. Moreover, due to a fever, I am still in a daze. A more serious problem is that I am not sure if this high fever can subside on my own. Based on past life experience, this degree of high fever requires taking antipyretic medication to subside. But now, it's impossible to get fever-reducing medicine on your own. If you seek help from the old witch, it is likely that she will see a flaw and cause greater suspicion. So, awakening your own magic now is the most likely way to reduce your fever. After being warned by Iveta, the old witch immediately withdrew her heart and became even more cautious. She put down her head, turned around, left the room, and ran outside. The black wolf outside also shouted loudly to Iveta inside the room, saying that he would take good care of his employer. Because Iveta owes him too much money, if Iveta dies, the black wolf expresses serious suspicion that he may go bankrupt. So, Iveta must not die. The poor demon hunter was trapped by the constantly crediting Iveta. Inside the room, the old witch's head stared at Iveta and said, the ritual of awakening magic requires a unique environment that even the Black Forest cannot satisfy. Because the environment required for the ceremony cannot be disturbed by the laws of physics. Iveta looked at her in surprise. Do you know physics? Well, I know from people in other worlds, the old witch's head explained, it's not important, I just find their concept of defining the world interesting. But the ritual of awakening magic must never be in a place with physical laws. Because the so called physics is a summary of things that appear in the same place, at the same time, according to the same laws or methods. And the so called magic is the miracle of different outcomes occurring in the same place, at the same time, in the hands of different people. This is completely conflicting. If you are a natural spellcaster, of course you don't have to worry about being disturbed by physical laws, but your body is not a natural spellcaster. So we need to perform rituals in other environments. Iveta said, so how do we get into other environments? The old witch said, just make laws. Law is the most powerful illusion in the world. Look at many people, even if there is no army or police nearby, they will still abide by the laws of their own country. This is the charm of the law. The old witch said, by using powerful illusions like the law, we can temporarily deceive the world and create an environment suitable for us witches. It's like the law you applied to the mountain pig nights before. Iveta immediately understood. The old witch said, Mienxia, you're absolutely right. That's it. Legend has it that even the magic black forest is a powerful source of magic, or a black forest law created by several powerful sources of magic, but there is no evidence. This is closer to being baseless or mythological. But there are indeed many witches who are much more powerful than me, and they like to make their own laws for this world. However, that kind of magic is not just an ordinary law, it will be more complex and require many people and territory. The old witch came to her senses, and Iveta saw that she also wanted to establish the law she had spoken of. The old witch said, I want to break the laws of physics here and temporarily establish new laws for this space. Only then can we officially begin our ceremony. Fortunately, when I went out this time, I brought a carriage with me, which contained my treasure chest. I have enough resources to initiate the best ceremony for you. On the floor of the room, suddenly appeared a carriage without any horses to tow it. The carriage was adorned with jewels, silk curtains draped over the door, and the wheels were made of gold. Inside the carriage were small grid treasure chests, and inside the carriage were 3 young girls' palms floating with delicate and fair skin. Iveta blinked, it was probably the witch's magic again. Chapter 6. Magic Awakening Ceremony and Tree of Life and Spirituality. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Iveta asked a crucial question. But last time you enacted the law, you already spent 20 years of your life. There is also a right arm. This time. Now. You only have one head left. The old witch chuckled. Crown, don't worry. I have a magical heart reserve. I can replace the cost and risk of casting that I should have borne by consuming these hearts. The drawer of the checkered cabinet inside the magnificent carriage was opened one by the soft palms of 3 young girls floating in the air. Inside, there were red hearts beating one after another. The old witch introduced these treasures with the intention of introducing the exhibits. Corona, these are all the hearts I dug out from the young girl's body using heart-digging magic. The preciousness of these treasures lies in the fact that they all come from girls who are born with casting abilities but are too weak to become witches. Moreover, when I took their hearts, they were all young and beautiful, and did not feel any pain. Iveta's mouth twitched. You don't need to emphasize in front of me how young and beautiful the owners of these hearts are. Iveta had to shift the topic and pay attention to heartbeat magic. What is heartbeat magic? That's magic that only formal witches and wizards can use. The old witch casually replied to this, clearly wanting to discuss with Iveta the beauty and youthfulness of these heart masters. Unfortunately, Iveta is only interested in magic, so she can only endure boredom and say, Crown, the heart pulled out by the heart-digging magic will automatically become a magical heart. The magical heart is more resilient than ordinary hearts, and even if the owner is detached from the heart, their owner will not die. This is my main direction of study in magic, and I also use this magic to advance to the rank of official witch. Most of the magical hearts in my treasure trove are still alive and well in this world, and they are still lively and shining brightly. The old witch grabbed the heart with the floating girl's palm and squeezed it hard, causing a pitiful scream from the girl's heart. But as long as I gently pinch their hearts, even if they are thousands of miles apart, they will feel extreme pain, even death. Iveta felt her head grow big. This old witch is really a ruthless person. If she finds out that she is not a demon god, but just an ordinary person, wouldn't she want to play with herself to death? The old witch said, by using a magical awakening ritual, your body will directly become a wizard apprentice. But advancing to become a wizard apprentice requires meeting 3 conditions. The number 3 is a spiritual number with spiritual power. The first condition is that you are recognized by at least 300 ordinary people as capable of using magic, or by 3 formal professionals as capable of using magic, because formal professionals' cognition is more stable. The second condition is to take the awakening potion. The third condition is to complete the ceremony. The old witch said, now you have met the first condition. Both Black Wolf and I are formal professionals and believe that you are someone who can use magic. There is a third person, my beloved, who is also a formal witch. Iveta felt something was wrong. Wait a moment, the Black Wolf and the old witch themselves, he could still understand. Why can a witch who has never met her before even recognize that she can use magic? The old witch saw that something was wrong and explained, Crown, in order for my beloved to receive us, I have already written a letter to her on the way to escape, introducing you as a powerful and talented wizard, and she has also replied to my letter. She greatly admires you and is waiting to see your charm, carefully preparing to entertain you. Iveta felt something was wrong no matter what she thought, scanning the old witch with a skeptical gaze. I am not considered to have talent. You checked my talent before, didn't you say that I don't even have the ability to cast spells? How did I change a situation in the letters between you and your beloved disciple? But now is not the time to worry about these things. 3 young girls grabbed 3 magical hearts and flew over, while the 2 eyes on the old witch's head also emitted deep green flames. This is a profound magic from ancient times. The wooden floor of the inn room suddenly emitted a circle of green flames, which were blazing brightly. The whole room was illuminated by a strange and eerie green light. In the name of the Hearthstone Witch and the Guardian of Hearthstone Castle, I issue the following order. The first heart suddenly contracted rapidly, then exploded and turned into a black powder scattered in the air. The empty girl's hand immediately flew back, took out 6 candles from the treasure chest in the carriage, and touched them with the tip of her index finger to light them. Before these 6 candles are extinguished, there should be no worldly right in this room. There shouldn't be any mortal reasoning in this room. After the old witch finished speaking these words, almost all the magical hearts inside the treasure chest exploded. A sharp female voice screamed in agony, I have issued the following decree, and the law is established. And the old witch was also sweating profusely, seeming to be under immense pressure. It's almost over, I don't have the ability to completely expel the laws of physics here, but it's enough. This environment is now ready for ceremony. Damn it, my inventory for over 100 years has been depleted, and I have also lost an additional 30 years of lifespan. If this guy weren't a demon god. If not, she will use the cruelest means to make this guy suffer. Let him regret it, he survived. This magical awakening ceremony itself is a test of her for this demon god. Iveta did not notice that the witch's gaze towards her was full of suspicion, cruelty, and fear. The room that was expelled from the law of mortals seemed to have turned into an bottomless dark well, and Iveta felt as if she was sitting in an elevator descending at lightning speed, never stopping. Empty and empty. This will make him unable to adapt to this environment for a while. The old witch said, there is no more law for mortals here. Crown, the next step is whether you can learn magic or not. Within the green flame circle, there appears a pattern of an inverted 6-pointed star, with a silver tree in the middle of this pattern. This is the tree of life and spirituality. At the same time, the old witch manipulated 3 hands to take out 3 bottles of magic potions from the treasure chest. I don't know if it's due to magical backlash, but the hands of these 3 girls are already broken and tattered, and they are aging like the hands of a 90-year-old woman. Chapter 7. The Witch's Trap and the Threat of Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. These 3 bottles of magic potions require at least 200 herbs to be made, but they are still only some semi-finished products. The head of the old witch said, synthesizing these semi-finished potions is a very complex behavior. It requires experience and skills, both of which require a person to have enough time to hone their skills. Coincidentally, it took me 30 years to learn how to make magic awakening potions. Middle-aged people like me always have enough time to improve themselves. What I need to do is synthesize these drugs. But Corona, there's also something you need to do here. Have you seen the tree of life and spirituality emerging from the wooden floor with magical flames? Iveta lowered her head and indeed discovered the tree pattern. The entire tree pattern is divided into 3 layers, each with different branching branches. The bottom branches are written as healthy, but the leaves on these 6 branches are slightly curled and slightly reddish. It seems that his health has been compromised at this moment. After all, he is still suffering from a high fever. The 6 branches in the middle write about wealth and good luck, but unfortunately, 3 branches representing wealth have all withered leaves, leaving nothing behind. Yeah. When Iveta thought of his only estate at the beginning, which had been taken away by the mountain pig knights, and his kingdom had been bought by a cotton mill owner with money, wouldn't his wealth just wither away? But the leaves on the 3 branches that represent his good luck are lush, indicating that his luck is very good now. But the 6 branches at the top remain in a state of half-emptiness and half-reality, as if they have not yet been born. At the top, there is a line of words. Spiritual energy. The old witch cunningly glanced at Iveta, and this magical awakening ceremony was a test of Iveta, and the most important test was here. She tried to restrain her emotions and said, the Catalan tree of life and spirituality, this pattern represents the luck, health, wealth, and magic under the crown. This is a spell that combines divination and alchemy, and most witches don't know it. The current situation is that if you carve the name of gods on the top of the tree of life and spirits, you can use the power of these beings to create your own magic at the top of the tree of life and spirits. Since this type of tree can reflect your magic situation, as long as you modify the pattern of this tree, you can have magic in reverse. So use your fingers to carve the names of the gods on the tree. Iveta didn't expect to do it again. This is equivalent to directly modifying one's own properties, just like opening a file on a computer and then modifying its properties. Now the Hearthstone witch is going to directly modify her life power tree, using this method to make herself possess magic. The question is, what deity's name should he engrave on this tree? There should always be a fixed deity dedicated to this, right? Iveta asked the old witch, what god's name should I write on my life's spiritual tree? The old witch's face stiffened. In the next moment, her eyes widened like copper bells, extremely fierce. You don't know. How could you not know? All along, the old witch has been like a maid in front of Iveta, basically not daring to cause trouble. Iveta saw the old witch in front of her for the first time, speaking in such a hysterical tone. The other party seems to be about to pounce. Iveta was taken aback, as if she had just revealed something that the demon god should not have known. Is it because I asked her what deity she wants to carve? As a demon god, should one know the name of a deity? At the critical moment, Iveta's mind spun rapidly, and he even felt that he, who was in a fever, was thinking faster. The old witch's face suddenly changed as Iveta pondered what to do, as if she had never been ferocious before. With a soft tone, she said, Crown, I will provide you with a divine name. How about using the divine name of March Goddess? The March Goddess governs 3 moons. Blue Moon, Blood Moon, and White Moon. She is a deity worshipped by dark creatures, witches, and even ordinary people. She is closely related to magic, and writing her divine name at the top of your life's spiritual tree can make your magic even stronger. Iveta was extremely surprised. He didn't know why, but the attitude of the Hearthstone Witch towards him changed again, as if it were the same as before. The old witch said in a gentle tone, "Under the crown, you should write Mitra the March Goddess on the life spirit tree." Iveta turned around and crouched down at the top of the life spirit tree, ready to write the name first. "Anyway, we can only take one step and see another. Anyway, an old witch with such a suspicious and timid personality would not take action against herself without complete assurance. Hurry up. Hurry up." The old witch urged her. Iveta was about to write the name of the March Goddess with his fingers, but he suddenly felt a shock in his heart. Not right. The old witch is urging herself. Previously, this Hearthstone Witch dared not speak to herself in such a tone. Wait a moment. Iveta suddenly regained consciousness and felt a chill from behind. He suddenly realized the reason why the old witch had changed her tone towards him again. This time, the old witch showed no respect for herself. Her tone was simply the same as her tone towards the original owner and the demon hunter, the Black Wolf, before she woke up. This is the tone of the old witch towards her prey target. She is deceiving herself. She wanted to write the name Mitra in the March Goddess on the tree of life and spirituality herself. Iveta glanced around and noticed that at some point, a black eye pattern appeared on the wooden floor behind her. He has seen this pattern before. By the way, it's the pattern that the old witch drew on her chest. On his way of escape, he asked the old witch, which should represent the fallen eye of the primordial witch. So, this guy wants to secretly cast magic on himself. Although I don't know what magic it is, it definitely won't be a good thing. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. Iveta kept thinking about what he had said and done wrong before, which made the old witch suddenly change her attitude towards her. I just asked her what god's name she wanted to carve, and she said she should know the name of the god. Then she provided me with the name of the March Goddess. So in the eyes of the old witch, she shouldn't need to ask her the name of the god. So I absolutely cannot engrave the name of the March Goddess Mitra on my spiritual tree of life. Iveta has made a mistake. If she cannot engrave the name of a deity provided by the old witch on her reincarnation tree, then what deity name should she engrave instead? Can't we just keep dragging it on? That old witch will eventually discover something is wrong. Iveta's heart was beating fast, and he felt like he didn't have a fever at all. His mind was moving faster, and he might be smarter than usual now. His attention is incredibly focused. Hurry up, Corona. What's wrong with you? Do you want me to teach you how to write it? Don't you know how to write Mitra's name? Behind him, the old witch urged again, her eyes extremely malicious. The floating magic prop palm behind her head showed the brilliance that only occurs when using magic. Iveta suddenly thought of something. She knows the names of other gods. In his past life on Earth, there were many mythological legends, including the Greek mythological king Zeus, the god of thunder, the ancient Egyptian mythological king Ra, the sun god, the Nordic mythological king Odin, the god of war, the traditional Chinese deity Tai, heaven, that needs to be worshipped when ascending to the throne, the Central American mythological king Feathered Snake, the god of rain, and the god King Shiva, the god of destruction, who dances in the dance of destruction. I actually know a lot of divine names.